The laughter stopped so suddenly. It felt like the air had been sucked from the room. Moments before, the officers' lounge had echoed with smug chuckles and sharp-tongued jokes. They were all looking at her, at the woman in the corner pouring coffee with shaking hands. Her shoes were worn, her blouse faded, and her posture too quiet for this room full of decorated uniforms and booming voices. Must have wandered in from the kitchen, one captain muttered, just loud enough to be heard. Another added, or maybe she's lost. This isn't the cleaning crew briefing. More laughter. Louder now. She didn't speak, didn't flinch, just kept stirring the sugar into a paper cup with the slow rhythm of someone used to being invisible. Her name wasn't on the guest list, and her clothes didn't match the high-gloss metals around her. But she was there, not by accident, not by mistake, and not to be ignored. Her name was Evelyn Hart, and the moment the general walked in, the entire room was about to remember it. Evelyn had once walked into rooms like this before, but in a uniform. Years ago, in deserts too hot to breathe in, she'd served with quiet grit and steady courage. A field nurse with no rank to shield her and no time for fear. She'd pulled soldiers from twisted metal, patched open wounds with her bare hands, and held the dying through their last breath. And no camera had ever captured her. No newspaper ever told her story. But her hands still remembered. Her back still ached from the stretchers she'd carried alone. And her nights were still interrupted by the names of the ones she couldn't save. After a mortar strike hit her mobile unit in Helmand, she didn't come home whole. Shrapnel was removed. Nerves weren't. She lost hearing in one ear. Mobility in one arm. But not once did she ask for pity. She simply returned home and disappeared. Years passed. Her husband, also a vet, didn't make it. PTSD pulled him into a darkness he couldn't climb out of. Evelyn buried him with his dog tags clutched in her hand, then returned to work, volunteering quietly, helping silently, surviving invisibly. Now, she stood in this lounge, holding coffee for a ceremony she wasn't invited to speak at, only to remember, to witness. The general entered. A hush followed, the kind that always came when a man like him walked in. Clean cut, metal sharp as razors, voice low but commanding that he scanned the room. Names were being read, commendations being listed. Then, his gaze landed on Evelyn that he didn't smile, didn't nod. He simply walked toward her, his boots falling heavy in the silence. This, he said, turning to the room, is Staff Sergeant Evelyn Hart. Mouths opened slightly. Someone stood straighter. Someone else looked away. While most of us were sending orders, the general continued. She was carrying bodies. While some of us earned medals for surviving, she earned none for saving. The silence was thick now, tangible. The kind of silence only guilt brings. She stitched limbs with one hand, he said. She ran into gunfire for strangers. And when a convoy was hit outside Sanjin, she dragged a soldier twice her size for half a mile with a shattered wrist. He paused. No one thanked her. No one saluted her. But you'll all remember her name today. Evelyn didn't speak. She didn't need to, because in that moment, every joke died. Every eye lowered. And the room was no longer filled with ranks, but with reverence. Two young lieutenants stood and gave her their chairs. A colonel walked over and poured her a cup of coffee this time. The general placed a ribbon in her hand, a citation she never requested, for a heroism she never claimed. There was no applause, only stillness, and the unmistakable weight of respect. True honor, the general said quietly, doesn't wear a uniform. It carries the scars the world forgets. And the strongest warriors, he added, are often the ones we never see coming. As Evelyn left the room, heads turned. But no one laughed. No one spoke. Because sometimes a simple woman walks in and erases every foolish word that came before her name. That if this story moved you, share it. Comment where you're watching from. And subscribe for more real stories that remind us true strength speaks in silence.